My name is Carrie Waltz, and I share tips, tools, and techniques for the artist in you. And today is an evaluation on online events, how I prepare, and what the pros and cons were of how I did it last year and this year. And I'm going to show you the notebook that I made that I'm so excited about. And I think you might consider doing this for your next online learning experience. Doesn't even have to be online, but it was that's what this one was. So take a look. And join me in this journey of creating. And I hope you get some good tips today and consider doing this yourself. Be honest, how many of you have purchased an online class and haven't watched it, or looked at part of it but never went back? And I've done this, and I'm addicted. It's like, oh, I don't want to miss out on that prize. Let me sign up for it. And well, I have told myself I am not going to purchase another thing until I watch what I've already purchased. So anyway, one of the things that I want to talk about is the live presentations versus the let me purchase and watch it on my own time. The thing about the live presentations, and I've finished 4 of them. Streamline Publishing and Eric Rhodes are the ones who put it on, and I just finished Pastel Live for the second time. And the thing about watching an online event versus one that you purchase for your own time is you have to set aside the time for it. You have to obligate yourself and clear your calendar. And I think that's one of the things that's so beneficial about it, because it forces you to do that. Now, you do get a week after. If I purchased the least expensive package, so this week I could watch the reruns, and I could stop and catch up with the artist if I wanted to. But I also know that me personally, if I watch it and really tune into it while it's being presented live, that I don't really feel the urge to go back the week right after I've done that. Now, if I had the option to watch it at another week, I might. But anyway, I've watched Pastel Live and prepared for Pastel Live 2 separate ways, and honestly, I've learned both ways, and you're going to have to figure out what works for you. But I wanted to show you some of the things that I've done that help me through the process, and it might help you prepare for an online event that you have coming up in the future. Last year for Pastel Live, and it would work for any particular event that you're doing, is, well, especially if they give you the reference photos ahead of time, is I took the reference photos and I sketched them out ahead of time. Now, these I painted along with the presenter, but I had them sketched out ahead of time. I had the name of the artist on the back. For example, this right here. Whoops, I'll have to flip the video. I had the name of the artist, the year, and the day they were presenting. So because I had all of this prepared ahead of time, I wasn't real frustrated with, oh no, I've got to draw it out real quick. Let me see what piece of paper, and hurry. So having them drawn out, having them in order with the day of presentation, I had in front of me my pastels. I had my computer connected to a 42-inch television so that I could have a over-the-shoulder view of what the artist was doing. So all in all, I was very pleased with what I did. And I have these as my samples of what I did. Downside, working so hard getting all this finished, and these are just some of them. I didn't even pull out all of them. I think I did 16 total paintings that week. But the thing about that was I burned myself out. I worked so hard doing it that it's like, oh, put the pastels up, and literally I put them up for about a year. I got them out maybe 2 times. So if you watch my YouTube videos, if you follow, you'll notice I haven't done many pastels lately. So I'm hoping to get back into that. Oils, watercolor, I work with different mediums, and this is kind of a broad channel, maybe too broad, but I do share things that have helped me learn. So hopefully some of this will help you as well. So when I thought about, I don't want to be burned out. I do want to be able to know who the artists were, because I didn't keep a schedule last year, and I'd have to dig through all the pictures to look to see, well, who was it? Who was this artist? And see, like an example like this one, there was no label on the back. It's because I painted it on a piece of paper, and the label was on the piece of paper. And then when I stored it, I put a foam core panel in the back, and I didn't transfer that information. So again, it was a little awkward to go, well, who was that artist that did that? Oh, didn't keep good notes. Matter of fact, I didn't keep any notes. So this year I went totally the opposite direction. Let me show you what I did. I use the DaVinci Eye. It's an app you can get on your phone for $6.99 one-time fee. It has saved me so much time. And I'll tell you other things about it later, but I just learned about it this year, and I could put the image on my phone, look through my phone and see a ghost image on the paper. So you could see your hand drawing as you look through your phone. So I was able to quickly go through the reference photos and put them on the watercolor paper that I had painted with clear gesso. And that just saved me a ton of time. And so if I can be prepared ahead of time, not stressed out because my images are drawn, I've got the paper cut to fit this notebook, that I hoped that it would save me stress and allow me to really enjoy the event. And it did. So I'm going to flip the camera and I'm going to show you my notebook. I'm not going to read it all to you, but I'm going to, overall, the takeaway, the wonderful takeaway that I got from Pastel Live, and it goes for any art event. If you can take a really good takeaway, then it's worth your time and it's worth your money. And I would suggest on this instance, if you're interested in one of these live events that Eric Rhodes puts on, the sooner you sign up for it and pay for it, the less your ticket will be. The closer to the event, the more expensive it gets. And they're not paying me for this. I'm just giving you my opinion. So yes, it was worth my money. It was worth my time. And each time I do this and set aside time, I learn appropriately related to the amount of time that I put into it. It's kind of like your spiritual life. You can watch things and you can listen and you can learn, but if you don't do, what good is it? All in all. Okay. So much for my preaching. So let me switch the camera and I'm going to just flip through my notebook that I'm just so proud of. And now I can quickly note who the presenters were. And so many good things. Okay, let me be quiet and move on to the notebook. That's probably what you're here to see anyway. This is the book that I'm so excited about, and I'm very glad that I did my learning with Pastel Live in this fashion. And one of the things I would say about a online event or a learning experience, if you can share it with friends, it's so much more fun. So there was a group of my friends, my artist friends, a lot of them were students or former students, that we all decided to do it together. And so we had a text feed going on our phones, and we were sharing things as we watched at home. So it was just fun to have our own little circle, because personally, I don't do the rooms where you go to the Zoom and talk to other artists. One of my friends just absolutely loves that, but I just need a break from the computer. So when I have a break, I get away from the computer rather than try to talk to somebody else out there. So sorry if you just have to make it your own. Do what works for you. The first year I did try it, and it just wasn't my thing. So these are just each artist. I had the name, what they were focusing on, thumbnail, and this is the gouache interpretation of his. And some of them I even mentioned how long it took. This was less than 15 minutes. You can see we got distracted here, and this was our food for lunch. Tate's oat milk raisin cookie, Georgia Bob's chicken salad. Anyway, you just do what fits you at the time. This is your journal. It's not anyone else's. Although I've had my students said, "Oh, will you print this? Are you going to make a book out of this?" I don't know. Anyway, Susan Jenkins had wonderful color temps, notes and value notes. And I also coordinated my pen with the main color. I just love colors. So I had a container here that I had my pen selection. So when it was time for note taking, I could quickly grab the pen that I needed. I also used this Uniball Signo. It's a really good white opaque pen that if I had boo-boos in my spelling that I caught or miscopied something, then I could kind of clean up my page that way. One of the takeaways, and I mentioned it's good if you just have one takeaway from this whole event, and I know not to be a slave to a photograph, but this whole event really honed that in for me, because when I got the reference photos for some of these, I just thought, oh, I'm not really excited about painting this. The reference photos last year were much more exciting. I don't know about that. And you know what? The artist made them exciting. I mean, look at the colors here. It just makes me so happy that they interpreted it and showed me ways to interpret and ways to add color. And it was so fun. So some of these I did ahead of time, and then I took notes as to how they painted them, and then some of them I added new pastels on top. New pastels are a hard pastel, and they don't have much dust because of that. So it worked out pretty well. And then I used Spectrafix, which I know traditional pastel artists cringe when I even say I fixed fix the painting with it, because it changes the texture of the surface and the luminosity of the pastels. But none of these are, well, a couple of them are all pastel, but once you fix it, it is no longer 80% pastel on the top layer. So anyway, I wasn't even sure if I was going to do the portraits, but like I mentioned before, I sketched it with the DaVinci app on my phone. So I will try to add a link down there to share that with you. Each day I had a tab. These are tabs that you can add yourself from my school days. It just has little sticky backs, and you just slide it in on the page that you need, and then put your title. I cut out the schedule, and I did add. I actually added the schedule, the full schedule, at the very, very front page, because that way I can go, oh, now who did what page? So that I just added that today. I'm cleaning up this project so I can get to my next one. I have a commission piece I need to finish. This was really my first nocturne that I can remember. And I ad-libbed a little bit from what he did, but I really liked Doug Dawson as an instructor. He gave a lot of information, how to show distance, how to, just, well, I guess you can pause it and look at this, but I really got a lot out of his lesson. Whoops, sorry, hit my, as you can see, his was the only one that I extended notes to on the back. The portraits I wasn't sure if I was even going to do, but I did them ahead of time because I really wanted to watch the process that the artist did. And I knew with a portrait, well, I couldn't do a portrait in an hour. So I'm sure that the things would be sped up. So I did this with with diluted gouache. And I kind of liked it that way. So I just left it at what's not at all like what her painting looked like. But I took some good notes on what she did. And I'll come back to that as well. The radishes was a lot of fun because she just plays with mark making tools, and she had a stick and then a comb it's actually a painter's tool. I think that helps clean off a paint roller if you're painting your house, and then that helps clean out your brush. But this is a hard comb that she would add texture to, and I even scratched in a little bit with the end of a paintbrush to create texture. So this was just a lot of fun. Took a lot of notes. I love the color that she did. Negative space background with color showing through. And I'm going to try that again. So good thing. Rita Kirkman's always a fan of mine. I actually took a class from her in Dripping Springs, Texas several years ago and was introduced to this process. So I had the materials on hand to do that. And she's to me such a very patient and calming type of instructor. And she gives step by step how to do it. And you can tell she's well, you're going to find what artist instructor sings to you has something in common with you. Not everyone is going to like everyone, and that's just how we are as artists. Our art is different. Our interests are different. This one, man, when I saw clouds, I was like, oh, yes, I am going to paint that. And then when I realized this was a Texas sky, I had to paint this larger. I didn't care if it was a specific size because it was going in here and not in a frame. So love, love, love skies. Texas skies are my favorite. I grew up in Texas and New Mexico, and just seeing the vast openness and all the way down to the horizon line is just something that makes me happy. So I was just excited to watch her, and enjoyed how she uses random different tools. She uses a foam insulation that I've used before, but she uses it a little differently. A dry washcloth, a fan brush, and then I note completed in gouache, new pastels, and I did use a few colored pencils on this one. So that was fun. Michael Freeman does high photorealism. I am really not into that. I don't have the patience for it, to be totally honest, but I did this in all gouache, and I felt like I got close to his look, not quite the variation in the bright, bold colors, but I still gave myself some good notes. And if I choose to do that, I'm going to check him out some more because I did like how he taught. So Vera Kavura was from Ukraine. This is not really anything like what she did. What she did is just incredible. She starts with pan pastels. She had an already tinted paper that she had, and I just created a green tint on mine. But beautiful work, but I still took notes and things that will help me when I do something like this in pastel. Richard Suckling has this randomness. Well, random's probably wrong word. Really free mark making in his work. And when I first saw his work, I thought, oh, that's just not me. I don't think I'll do it. And I'm so glad that I did it, because once I started this book, and like I said, at first I wasn't even going to do the portraits, but once I made a space for every artist, I just felt compelled to fill up the space. So it's like, oh, go ahead and do it, Carrie. I had so much fun with this piece, and watching him quickly pick up the pastels and make strokes and kind of talk through his color theory, why he picked the colors that he did. It was a lot of fun. He does not shy away from mark making, and this was probably a very muted version of what he did, but it taught me that, try something outside of your comfort zone, and you might find that it's very freeing and that you want to do some more of it. And I am going to do some more of this because it was quite fun. This one, Michelle Ashby, is another very realistic high. What is it called? Photorealism. Yeah, those two. I did a gouache version. I enjoyed doing it, but again, she works with pastel pencils, and I don't do much with that. It's a little tedious for me, but man, she does a great job. Bruce Gomez, he was painting plein air while he was doing this, which makes it even more difficult. There were helicopters flying over, and he had to move, and there was wind. So, man, if you can have those situations and be presenting at the same time, good for you. So, anyway, I did new pastels, and I used water on the brush rather to dissolve the pastel rather than alcohol, and it works. Plus, I also sprayed it with Spectrafix. But for a teeny tiny 3 by 4 inch painting, I got quite a bit of detail in that. It was fun. This was the portrait, not near what she had, but she had circles and all sorts of stuff going around hers. But her lesson, if you don't know Carol Peebles, you really need to check her out. Excellent teacher. I'm going to rewatch if all the videos I'm going to rewatch this one and double check my notes, because she gave some super information on measuring the face. And one of the things especially I took away is faces are all different, even though there's a generic spatial relationship of, everybody's, you divide it in thirds, you can do all sorts of stuff I'm not even going to say because I'll probably say it wrong. But not everybody's face fits those generic measurements, and you need to measure. All right, some of you might have already seen this. I posted this. It was the last entry to finish. I've always been afraid of cityscapes, especially with people. And they've never really drawn my attention because I love the nature world. And when I go somewhere, I really prefer to be outside in the mountains or on the beach, and in a city with a crowd is not my happy place. So when I saw that Nancy King Mertz was doing a cityscape and it involved a bunch of people, I thought, okay, Now or never, just do it. And dadgummit, it turned out all right. I mean, I'm actually very pleased with this. But I had seen her, I took a one-day workshop with her last year, and I saw her process then, and we were working on buildings in Apalachicola. So I kind of knew how to handle the buildings, but the people were different. And working really small, I would say, is probably an advantage because I just turned my brush a certain way. I mean, I was working with one like this, and just lay a brush, touch there, a touch there. There's a leg, there's a leg, there's a leg. Turn it on its side, touch there, there's a head. I mean, it was really an easy way to, or a lot easier than I thought. Now, granted, this might be a one-time wonder thing, and I'm going to have to do some more to make sure that, yes, I can do a cityscape with people, and this wasn't just a fluke. So anyway, try something that scares you, and if it doesn't work out the first time, hey, throw it away, try again. That was the advantage of doing these on separate sheets. I had no stress that if I painted something that I could throw it away or redo it or paint over it. It didn't have to go here. Also, as I was working, I didn't want something over here. Sorry. I didn't want this one half finished or damp when I wanted to work on this one. So keeping a separate entry to glue in, or actually someone on the Pastel Live Facebook group suggested if I didn't want to glue it in, I could put it in one of those clear sleeves that you protect your artwork, and then put that in here. So that is a great idea. I might do that next year. But I do like the fact that I can't take it out. It keeps it in its place. If it was in a sleeve, I might be tempted to, oh, maybe I'll sell that. No, this is my notes. This is for me. And anyway, having these separate is helpful. And you can see that this is even glued in because the sketch I did to start with, I didn't like. So I just glued another one over it. Still life. Again, I actually wasn't going to do this one to start with because still life doesn't excite me. But I still learned from it. I love the metal that she did. And she started with a golden color under paper, and I did not, so I added a little bit of that just with watercolor. So this was just painted in gouache. Karen Margulis is an artist that I've taken 3 workshops from, and I actually had her phone number in my phone, so I texted her when I finished this and told her how much I enjoyed her presentation and that I really liked the time that she spent in showing how the underpainting was done. What I loved about her presentation, there was nothing that was sped up where I could stay. I painted this with her during the time of her presentation. When something was drying, she paused and she talked about other things, but it allowed my painting and her painting to dry at the same time. So when she went to the next step, I was ready to go to the next step. So thank you, Karen, for that. Anyway, took lots of notes and enjoyed painting with her. Richard Wilson was painting, I believe this is his daughter, I'm not sure. I painted this before his presentation, and the hardest thing I had was trying to get the people in the boat tiny enough, and that's when I came back actually with a tiny white dot of ink to create that. And anyway, it was a good study of what he was doing, and then I took notes. This was another one that I really had a lot of takeaways from. Brenda Boylan. I'm not sure how you say your name, sorry. I loved her enthusiasm. She's just bubbly. But what I liked too is she took pastels that were in a shade color, and in the light color, light and shadow, and she separated them. And then she laid in where the shadow colors were first, and then she laid in where the sun, the light colors were. And I really liked how that worked out. Reminded me of painting with Camille Priswatic, how she separates that as well. And I took a workshop from her a few years back. Okay, Lynn's, this was an example of not liking the reference photo. And what was interesting, she didn't like it either. But she had this beautiful flower that she took out of that reference photo. The reference photo had all sorts of distractions in the background. Well, you can see that she eliminated the distractions, and she added water droplets on this. So it was, again, emphasizing, don't get hung up with your photo reference. Let it go, let it go, let it go, and make something beautiful out of it. So hers was incredible, and vibrant colors, because hers was in pastel. This was done in total gouache, and so I'm learning gouache. I've really been working with it less than a year, but I've enjoyed having the opacity that I can get with that I don't get with watercolor. Albert Handel, I've taken a workshop from him as well, and I was glad he's doing so well. He is just an icon in the art world, and he works in oils and pastel. But I completed this actually before his presentation, and like I said, some of my friends were also taking this course, and they came over to my house and watched this last one together, so we could celebrate the end of Pastel Live. So find people who share your passion. If you don't have them locally, then find them online. So maybe you can have a text thread going during the event. To me, it was very helpful and encouraging, and we shared pictures as we went along. So I hope you enjoyed today and you got something out of my sharing of my notebook. I really liked this process, and I'm going to use it again. And who knows, I might print my book. We'll see. Have a wonderful day, and subscribe if you haven't. I really appreciate it.